MLB Trade Deadline 2025, Yankees and Mariners chase Ryan McMahon, Padres dangle Dylan Cease. The MLB trade deadline is fast approaching, and the rumor mill is churning. With just over a week until the July 31st deadline, teams are scrambling to make moves that could define their seasons. While we haven't seen a flurry of activity yet, the next few days promise to be packed with potential trades and exciting developments. Let's dive into the latest buzz. Mariners and Yankees eyeing a third baseman. Both the Seattle Mariners and the New York Yankees are currently in the hunt for a wild card spot, and they share an interest in the same player, Colorado Rockies third baseman Ryan McMahon. The Denver Post reports that both teams are actively pursuing McMahon. McMahon, who is dealing with a biceps injury and could potentially be placed on the injured list, is still a valuable trade target. But here's where it gets controversial: even if he goes on the IL, he can still be traded. McMahon, 30, has shown a significant difference in his performance at Coors Field compared to his road games, a common trend for Rockies players. However, he's a strong defender at third base, and is under contract through 2027, making him an attractive and affordable option for teams looking to bolster their offense. Padres considering a surprising move, trading Dylan Cease. The San Diego Padres, currently holding a National League wild card spot, might surprise some by potentially trading starting pitcher Dylan Cease. According to ESPN, the Padres are considering dealing Cease, who finished fourth in NL Cy Young voting last season. Despite a slightly down year, Cease, at 29, still possesses significant talent. He's also set to become a free agent after this season. The Padres' strategy appears to be to trade Cease to acquire multiple players to fill various roster spots. Buster Olney of ESPN notes that the Padres have shown interest in Baltimore Orioles starter Charlie Morton. The plan would involve trading Cease for several useful MLB pieces, and then acquiring Morton to fill Cease's spot in the rotation. This approach is driven by the Padres' desire to win now, their relatively shallow farm system, and financial constraints imposed by ownership. Furthermore, with starting pitcher Michael King recovering from a shoulder injury, he could rejoin the rotation in August, adding another layer to their pitching strategy. Nationals listening on Mackenzie Gore. The Washington Nationals are in a rebuilding phase, and they've already developed three promising players: outfielder James Wood, infielder C.J. Abrams, and starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore. Interestingly, all three players came to the Nationals in the Juan Soto trade. With the recent firing of former general manager Mike Rizzo, the question arises: will the Nationals really consider trading Gore? ESPN reports that interim GM Mike DeBartolo is at least listening to offers, a standard practice for good organizations, especially when they need to improve their roster. Gore, 26, has a solid 3.59 ERA and 140 strikeouts in 112 and 2/3 innings this season. He's under team control until after the 2028 season. The report primarily links Gore with the Chicago Cubs, who need a top-tier starter, have a deep farm system, and have shown a preference for left-handed pitchers in their rotation. However, any contender could benefit from acquiring a pitcher of Gore's caliber, especially given his team control. Royals seeking outfield help in exchange for Lugo. The Kansas City Royals might be open to trading All-Star starting pitcher Seth Lugo, who finished second in Cy Young voting last season. However, they're reportedly seeking a controllable outfielder in return, according to The Athletic. The report mentions Boston Red Sox All-Star outfielder Jarren Duran as a potential target. Lugo, 35, has a strong 2.94 ERA in 18 starts this season, and is signed through this year with a $15 million player option for 2026. This makes him an attractive asset for teams, as he's likely to provide more than $15 million worth of value next season, making him either a rental player for this year or a bargain for the next. Garcia in the mix for the Phillies. The Texas Rangers, just 1.5 games out of an AL wildcard spot and fresh off a World Series win 2 years ago, might seem unlikely to sell. However, ESPN reports that Adolis Garcia is in the mix for the Philadelphia Phillies, who could use a right-handed power bat in the outfield. Garcia is having the worst season of his MLB career outside of a brief stint in 2020, but he has demonstrated significant power in the past. Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox is also mentioned as a potential target. Either player would be a good fit for a team that has struggled with offensive consistency and could benefit from more right-handed power to balance the left-handed bats of Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper. What do you think? Do you agree with the Padres' strategy of potentially trading Cease? Which team do you think will make the biggest splash at the deadline? Let us know your thoughts in the C. Mets trade deadline, beyond relievers, key targets for the Mets. The Mets trade deadline strategy shouldn't solely focus on acquiring relievers. Recent developments have highlighted the need for additional improvements in various areas. While bolstering the bullpen remains crucial, recent performances by setup men like Reed Garrett and Ryan Stanek, along with Jose Butto's return, suggest a need to address other roster weaknesses. Despite positive developments such as Francisco Alvarez's return and notable wins against teams like the L.A./Anaheim Angels, the Mets still face challenges in competing for a championship, especially against powerhouse teams like the Dodgers. Although the team has made significant financial investments and exceeded the luxury tax threshold, further financial commitments may be necessary to reach their desired level of competitiveness. While progress has been made since a slump in June, the Mets still have ground to cover to reach their full potential. Mets trade deadline, David Stearns targets bullpen upgrades amid injury crisis. In a bold declaration that has caught the attention of baseball fans, David Stearns, the president of baseball operations for the New York Mets, announced on Monday that the team is gearing up to make significant moves to enhance their bullpen as the trade deadline approaches in just 10 days. Stearns expressed his commitment to being active in the market, suggesting that while improvements to the bullpen are a priority, other areas may not see as much focus. "I believe that adding some reinforcements to our bullpen would be incredibly beneficial," Stearns stated. "Typically, we see relievers being traded as the deadline nears, and I have no doubt that this year will be no exception. We intend to be part of that action." The Mets' urgent need for bullpen support is evident. Since early May, the team has faced a series of unfortunate injuries, with key relievers such as A.J. Minter, Dedniel Nunez, Danny Young, and Max Kranick all sidelined for the season. These injuries, compounded by a wave of starter injuries and brief outings from their rotation, have placed an overwhelming burden on the bullpen, which has struggled to deliver satisfactory results in recent weeks. As of Monday, the Mets boasted the fourth highest bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball, while also logging the fifth most innings pitched since June 1. Stearns further noted that if he is unable to adequately strengthen the relief corps through trades, he may consider promoting top pitching prospects from the minors to fill bullpen roles as the season progresses. This group of promising players includes AAA starters Blade Tidwell, Brandon Sproat, and Nolan McLean. Tidwell has already made his major league debut this season, appearing in 4 games, while Sproat and McLean are still awaiting their first appearances. The difficulty with making such a move during the season is that once you transition a player to the bullpen, you cannot easily revert that decision within the same season, Stearns explained. His team is currently just 1 game behind the Philadelphia Phillies for the top spot in the National League East. "We can certainly reassess our decisions in the offseason, but once we adjust a player's role to include them in our bullpen, it becomes quite challenging to revert them back to a starting position if needed. Therefore, we must proceed with caution if we choose to explore that option." In addition to considering minor league prospects, the Mets are also open to trading from their surplus of young major league infielders who are competing for consistent playing time, in order to enhance their roster in other areas. This surplus includes players like Mark Vientos, Luis Angel Acuna, Brett Baty, and Ronnie Mauricio, all of whom are 25 years old or younger. Stearns pointed out that center field has been a position where the Mets have not achieved the level of production they had anticipated at the start of the season. While he acknowledged the team's intention to seek an upgrade, he also indicated that finding a player who can surpass the combination of Tyrone Taylor's exceptional defense and Jeff McNeil's offensive contributions in the current market is unlikely. "For me, the threshold for improving our center field position has likely increased over the past couple of weeks," Stearns remarked. "This is due to Jeff's growing comfort level in that position, as well as the recognition of the additional skills that Tyrone brings to the table. This is clearly a position of focus, and I understand that. I am confident we will be actively pursuing options, but we now have a clearer understanding of what would genuinely enhance our team, especially considering the costs associated with these potential acquisitions. Regarding the starting rotation, while the Mets may not possess the quintessential ace that many World Series contenders have, Stearns expressed his confidence and comfort with the current options available to the team. The rotation received a significant boost with the return of Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea, the team's top two projected starters, just before the All-Star break. The current rotation also includes David Peterson, Clay Holmes, and Frankie Montas, while Griffin Canning is out for the season due to an Achilles injury, and Tyler Megill and Paul Blackburn are both on the injured list with elbow and shoulder issues, respectively. It is crucial for us to keep these players healthy, Stearns emphasized. However, I believe we have the talent within our staff that can lead us into a postseason series.